Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Thursday to you. Another edition coming right at you, elevating you, reaching your peak. I'm Kraig, Kann, Mike Mooney. By now, if you follow us on Facebook, you pretty much know we're the two guys that started this thing. We're the two guys that are here almost every single time. Joe Bauer is off and running, doing some other things this week. Very busy schedule.
Very busy.
And we'll get her back in the coming weeks. So, as we say, brand new, inspiring, we hope, career growth conversations each and every week. Mike,
Yes,
good to be with you, buddy. How you doing? What's going on?
Good to see you. Good to see you. I know we had last week off. Some things going on, right? But man, it's great to see you. Look at you with your tracks to success. Now, hold on a second. Now, do guests get those, or do you have to? What do you have to go to your merchandise?
So one thing that I did when I started the podcast was I actually got the mugs to put up on the set, and I have a sponsor, and so I had a mug made for them as well, and that goes on the set when I do it. And I've got right over here. Truth be told, see, it's all about branding, Mike. I mean, I've got the Kann Advisory Group mug as well.
Okay.
You can get those as well. You could do that.
Well, I think I am. I've got a couple things I want to get on, because first off, I would think that a previous guest may get a mug. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know how much they are a piece, but for crying out loud, man.
Yeah, man. And maybe a hat as well. I don't know if you're a hat guy with hair, flowing locks like that. I am proud of you that you're wearing Greg Norman collection today, because I'm wearing a brand new Greg Norman collection shirt. They are a proud sponsor of Kann Advisory Group. And
stop it.
So I've been with them for 2.5, 3 years. They Mike Elliott, the president of the company, is a good friend. And so I did some stuff for them. I mean, we're way off the tracks on this, but you know what? Here's what I would say on that. It's always nice to have people who will help you get where you want to go and who care. And so, with my background in golf, it's good. I mean, somebody could sponsor you being in the auto racing community, and you could have on a helmet. Like, you could literally be sponsored, or you could come in with that jumpsuit,
with the fire suit. I could, again, getting the helmet would be fine, but getting back to, we got to see all this together. I got to see you. It's tough in a helmet to see everybody,
Yeah, I understand.
No, it just that's a great looking shirt and a great looking mug. But anyway, man, yes, way divergent, but doing great on this side, man. Just a lot cooking, but just great to be back this morning. I've got a few texts earlier in the week from some friends who join us regularly. Hey, you guys can be back on this week? Absolutely, we'll be in. Tune in. It'll be great. We're going to gossip about gossip, and.
That's our topic today. Yeah.
See where it takes us.
You ready? Let's go there. Let's get right into it. So, as always, folks, elevating you gives you an opportunity, hopefully, to take yourself to another level with your career, but more than anything, some conversation. And by the way, next week's topic, or the next time we get together's topic, is simply because of one of our listeners, viewers, regulars who sent me an email, and we always talk about that. You have the chance to send us questions and also comments via right here, the Kann Advisory Facebook page, or you can email info@kannadvisory.com. And I'll tell you, Mike, you're going to like it. When I get down to what the next topic is, it's not mine. It's not yours.
No.
You know who Ann is?
Oh yeah, Ann.
All right. So Ann,
she just popped in here. Warm greetings from 80 degrees in Philly. So that's a beautiful summer day for them.
We'll see that coming up. All right. So let's move right on through this. The last time we got together, we were talking about job promotions, and you get a big title, and then what do you do? How do you handle that? And I thought that was a really good conversation. There were 3 of us involved, but for the sake of today being it just you and me, I wanted to share and revisit some of what we talked about, because it's happened to each of us. You and I both in our career have found our way into potentially some new career opportunity, something we didn't see. And all of a sudden, maybe we were managing people or had different responsibilities. And so obviously, each week, folks, we have our big thought. We'll get to the big thought from today here in just a moment. But then we try to deliver a couple of other ideas that go right in. And last week, when talking about promotion, you talked about the following: big ears, small mouth, and a growth mindset. So I'm going to let you kind of revisit that and talk about it briefly and give people a sense of where you were going with it. Okay.
Well, why do you got to say briefly to me? It's as if, you think I'm
that
going
ain't
to
going
go
to happen. I mean, neither of us. I mean,
on.
we're both a bunch of gas bags, so it's all good. Go ahead.
It's all good. And listen, friends, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm on the
He's the monitor
Facebook
guy.
chat right here. So put your comments in. Let us know what you're thinking. I'll work to get them in here as well. But here's the point. And Kraig, I was thinking about this even after the show last week. Is that the comments and the thoughts that I had are not only good for people who just got a promotion, but it's equally as important, I think, valuable if you were the one who gave the promotion, right? So the first thought was this, big ears, small mouth. When you get that promotion, there's that initial interest, drive, pressure, anxiousness to perform, to act. So here is the thought: resist it, stop, listen, ask questions before you decide to jump in and start changing things or making it the way you think it should be. Ask more questions to get more information. That's going to help you build trust and reinforce trust amongst your team.
Yeah.
So again, super helpful. And then the other part of it in that growth mindset is that every new season in our lives, every new chapter that we step into is going to demand a greater version of ourselves. So that means that we have to be open to growing, open to taking on new skills, open to learning new ways of working, operating, interacting. So, we have to go into this with the idea that we are going to grow. There's going to be some friction. There's going to be some challenges, but ultimately it's going to take us to that next level, and our teams too.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't want to call it fear necessarily in a promotion. There's obviously excitement. You're proud. There's some humbleness to it as well. Maybe a bit of questioning, do I deserve this? Am I ready
the
for
imposter
this?
syndrome, the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, am I really ready for this opportunity? And so you went into the growth mindset, which I think is a positive way of thinking about it. And I'm going to kind of jump right on some of what you talked about. My comment was, it's not a rush job. Nobody's saying we're promoting you and you have to provide results within the next week. We're holding you accountable to our shareholders within the next month. You have to take it to another level. That wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be something I would ever do if I was giving somebody a promotion. You want to give people opportunities. And so when you get that opportunity, don't feel this huge amount of pressure to deliver immediately, like tomorrow. Take your time, as you said. And the big ears, small mouth, I think that's really good. We've got 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth for a reason. So listen, and what do you take from it? What do you learn from it? How can you put it into motion? I actually, every time I've ever given somebody a promotion or done it or gotten one myself, I actually spend time office to office, room to room, asking people about their viewpoints of the departments and where we were going, get perspective of the people that you're working with, or maybe that would be reporting to you, so you can put their thoughts into play. I think the other people are as valuable as you are. You've been chosen, handpicked for a promotion, but that doesn't mean you leave everybody that you've been working with high and dry. No, they're actually a part of the reason you got the promotion if you've done things the right way, and they can certainly be there to help you moving forward. So interview the crew. That's what I'm talking about. No pressure to get something done immediately, and spend a little time person to person and find out what their thoughts are and where they want to go. I think that stuff is hugely important to take into account where you're going. I think promotions are what we strive for, but they can't be what we live for, because if you live for them in the next promotion, you're always going to be disappointed. You're never going to be satisfied with where you are. And that's I was working with an executive the other day, consulting, coaching them virtually. They've got this big presentation they've got to deliver for a massive client, a new client for the organization, and they're a consulting firm. And when you think of huge companies in the United States, this would be one of them. So does he feel a little bit pressure to deliver a new client and all that stuff? Yeah, he does. But what it ultimately boiled down to was me learning, like I do, about somebody's background, somebody's story, because when they present, I want them to present the best of themselves and not just the brand, the product, the whatever. You got to connect with people on the other end. How do you do that? You do it through sharing some of your experiences, positive and negative, building trust, all of those types of things. Anyway, he was telling me, he's a client relationship guy, and he's had opportunities to go elsewhere into executive roles, but he doesn't want to do it. He's turned it down multiple times because he believes he's a handshake, relationship first person. That's what makes him happy. I was actually quite impressed by that, because most people would be striving for the next big dollar ladder opportunity, right? But the way he looked at it was, look, if I add on another client and another client, I'm going to hit my bonuses and I'm going to get paid. The money will take care of itself. Right. I like to do what I like to do. I thought that was pretty cool.
But there's got to be a way in there, don't you think, where he can kind of like get the best of both worlds, where you are growing the business, getting the benefits, but then setting up the systems below to take care of the pieces so you can still have that personal relationship?
He may not have a choice when it comes down to it after a while. You keep succeeding and delivering for major corporations. He was giving me his client list. You keep doing that, they're going to put you there whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
point. Yeah. But I like going back to one of the points you made earlier about interviewing the crew and all that. I think it's super important that you especially if you've been promoted out of the ranks of your colleagues, that you continue to make them part of the process, part of the solution, part of the program, and that it's not you sitting up high looking down off the high horse going, okay, everyone follow me. It's always about get off the horse, stand out front, but go shoulder to shoulder with the team.
Well, the people that work, I'm going to say below you. I never said they work for me. I said they work with me, or we work together. I think that sounds better, and it's more reflective of what the job is. The better you treat people on the way up, the more they'll help you to stay there. And if you treat people poorly, it can really work against you. So that's something that has been ingrained in my head for years. You try anyway. You try to do the best you can on that front. So big ears, small mouth, growth mindset, not a rush job, and interview the crew. That's what we were suggesting from our conversation about promotions and how you handle that moving forward to better suit you and the organization. Again, share your questions, share your comments via the Kann Advisory Facebook page right here, and you can email me as well. You're getting some coming in?
Oh, no, I'm just waving it out here. Got a lot of good mornings. Good morning, Paul and Tara's.
A lot of good mornings. A lot of people say good morning. Everybody's got a good morning, and that's awesome. We want go a little deeper. Tell us we're off our rocker sometime. Tell us we don't know what we're talking about, because we're both parents, so we've been told that many times.
Oh my goodness! Well, married and parents, so. We get it from both. Absolutely. But I also got to say, man, I love, but it's probably like a 4-day beard you got going on there, man. I like it.
No, I haven't shaved this thing off in weeks, and I'm trying to decide if it's going to be there forever or what, but so far so good.
That's good stuff. That's good.
All right. Maybe you'll go tell people about it. And in that case, you'd be gossiping and, sharing things. Here's the topic today, everybody. It is the game of office gossip. Now, that game, how do you play it? There's politics. We could say the game of office politics, but the office gossip is something you can't get around. Now, politics are big too, and avoiding the trap. That is our big topic for this week. And I'll share my big thought right now on it, because it's something that you and I talked about. Do we want to bring this topic forward? Do we want to bring it to everybody? What's that?
I mean, it's a tough one, because there are so many nuances to it, and so many ways to get sucked in to it, and there's no hard and fast rule to it. And you hear people say, "Oh, just don't get involved." I think it's crap. I mean, it's tough to not get involved sometimes.
Yeah, it is tough to not get involved, and I'm gonna steer people in a couple of directions in a bit. Here's what I'll say. My big thought is on this. Number one, to your point, you can't avoid it. It will happen. So to sit there and go, there won't be any gossip going on in my company, or I'm not going to be a part of any gossip. That's not reality. It's going to happen. The minute they gave you an office, or you're in an office, or you have a phone, you can pick up, texting or a phone call. Hey, it's going to happen. People innately want to talk about other people, and they want to talk about where they are in their current situation and where it's going. So the first thing that I would say in my big thought is, we wouldn't even be bringing this topic up if we thought that it was avoidable. It's not avoidable. It's going to happen. The question is, how do we manage it? And So I think for me, my big picture thought is that it boils down to brand, and it boils down to personal brand. And in your case, it would boil down to a conversation about reputation. And all of that is tied into the game of office gossip. So bottom line is, if I go up to give a keynote speech, or you do, or we're doing a virtual presentation, when we're done, they're going to say something about us regardless. When I walk up onto the stage, they're going to eyeball me head to toe. They're going to make a comment inside their head about what I'm wearing, how I look, how I present myself. Am I excited? What's my body language? All of that. Okay. They might even turn to the person to their side and go, hey, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Right. That's what we do. Now, the question is, how do you want people to view you? And so with that, it does boil down to brand. We can't control what other people say. So I like to always think about what happens when it's done, when it's over. Right. In this case of gossip, what happens after your meeting? What happens after the big email you send out? What happens after your conversation with 3 of your coworkers where it gets into a situation that can be a little bit uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. What gets said on the back end of it is what you can control on the front end of it. And so my big picture thing is can't get away from it. How do you manage it? You got to think about your brand. You got to think about your reputation when you walk in the first place, and know that you're going to be a part of it. You're not going to be liked by everybody. That is simply not the way it works. People will criticize me, say, oh, he does this, he does that. You know what? Okay. But I know here and here, I'm in it for a positive reason, not a negative reason. They might not like my style, all of that sort of stuff. And if people want to talk about it, great. But am I providing value, or am I trying to? At that point, I can look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with myself. So those are my that's my big thought going into it, Mike. Do you want to make any comment off of that before we go to your big thought, or want me to jump right into yours?
No, man. Let's go ahead. Go back to the big screen of you and I, and I'll jump into my big thought on this, and then we can get rolling to it. Is individually, but it's funny. You mentioned earlier about, hey, we're both parents, and in a way, what. I heard you say there that, look, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to be on your side all the time. And I've heard myself say that to my kids, just growing up and trying to let them know, hey, this is what life's going to be like. And that here we are as adults trying to deal with the same thing, and I'm a big believer that, look, I am not for everyone. That's okay. Nope. That's okay. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make me a bad person. That's just what it is. And maybe it's just not for right now. I have no idea, but I'll tell you from my experience in the gossip side. And I was saying this earlier, I did a Facebook little live promo for the piece today, is that, we generally find ourselves in one of 3 places or lanes, right? When it comes to gossip, either you're the one who's initiated it, you're being pulled into it, or you're the subject of it, and I can say, just in all honesty, that in my career, my life, I have been in each of those 3 lanes. And I think we're going to be completely honest with ourselves. We can say, yes, we all have from time to time. But getting back to the impact, and that's where I wanted to take it in my thought, is, and you hit it right on the head, man. I talk about the idea of continuous improvement for people, right? Helping them uncover and find the people-centered speed in their lives with their organizations. And that centers around your mindset, your reputation, your brand, and your influence. And you think about, you hit 2 of them in your thought of brand and then reputation, right? But you think about your mindset and how getting pulled into and being part of gossip really pulls down your energy and that mindset.
Totally. Yeah, you walk. Very rarely do you ever walk away from it with a positive feeling.
Well, no, I mean, I've heard it said before that, when people are gossiping, it's them throwing up. They feel better afterward about whatever they're doing, right? And everyone else feels like crap later on, Yeah. But I mean, your mindset gets sucked down. Your reputation definitely takes a hit, right? That then plays into your brand, right? The experience that people are going to have with you, which then absolutely diminishes your ability to create influence, the impact, right? The value that you're going to bring to the organization, your teammates, your clients, because your credibility has been undermined. Your authenticity has been undermined by all this. So, there are definite tangible, consequences, for trying to play the game,
Yeah. So I would say this. I know for a fact that I've been a part of, a subject of some conversation, some chatter in my career on at least one occasion. I try to manage that, and my biggest thing is that if I'm ever a part of that, or if you want to talk about that, come to me and let's discuss it. Because most of the time, what I find is people, when they want to talk about other people or what they're doing, or question the role that they have or the way they're going about the role, they don't know the whole story, and B, they don't know what that person might be going through personally or professionally.
Right.
Not necessarily talking about me here, but they don't know. And the other part of it is too, when people start to gossip about people and their job and their role, they also don't know what role they were charged with when they took the job. In other words, they weren't there for the conversation when the boss hired them and said, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what I need from you. This is why I'm bringing you in. This is what I'm charged with. Because when those charges, those tasks, or whatever goals that you're supposed to hit start getting played into motion and they affect people, right? That is where gossip starts, and where people, when they start to feel uneasy, start talking about others and start questioning things from their own insecurity. And I've always found that it would be better to go just talk to the person. I'll get into that more in just a little bit. I am a very straight shooter, and I try to be very open with communication, very good listener, and all of that. But I do think we can't hide the fact that we might be being talked about, and at least let's have a dialogue. Let's have a conversation.
Well, but you also have to be comfortable too, though, with that. 'Cause I agree. I'm a big believer in hitting it head on, and I don't mean that in a combative or confrontational way. But but you also have to realize that people who generally are doing this, when you confront them, are going to back it down and be like, no, it's no problem. Or they're going to deny what you're. I've rarely found, when I've done that, the satisfaction, I'm using air quotes, like I'm looking for satisfaction here, found the person say, yes, I was doing this, and this is why, and it's a difficult thing, because you got to ask yourself, okay, do I acknowledge it and give it any credence that it bothered me, or that it's an issue, by addressing it with the person, or do I just keep riding high in the saddle and doing what I've got to get done? Because half the time, the people who are doing this and are at the epicenter of the gossip are the ones that are just trying to get you off your game for whatever reason that might be. It might be personal, it might be professional, it might be a mix of both, know? And I can tell you from firsthand experience and roles that I've been in, and especially the ones where you're being asked to create and implement change, because people inherently don't like it. And when you come in and you're the one who's being asked to be the change agent, you got to have some thick skin and keep your eye on the prize of what's ahead of you. Getting back to what we're talking about in the promotion of rallying your team, listen, get things done, and leave the gossip behind, but it's difficult.
Rarely does somebody get a job and get asked in the interview process to come in and disrupt culture. They don't. Now, some people are hired to be change agents and redirect an organization in a different way, which can be quite disruptive mentally and emotionally to a lot of people, which causes chatter. But again, goes back to having conversations and dialogue, but people get insecure and all of that. But rarely is somebody brought in to come in and disrupt culture. When it happens, how do you actually go with it? All right. So now I want to get into, Mike, exactly where we want to help people. And we each have a couple of comments. And this is the one that you want to put out there first. Okay. So you've got two of them. Here we go.
Let's start with 924. Let's start with the turds. All right, we'll get dirty in this. No, but my point in it is, if you're being pulled in to gossip, and this is from my experience, sometimes there are some nuggets of truth that are in there. Sometimes it's flat out BS, and someone just has a personal vendetta and they're trying to expose or exploit or whatever it might be. However, I've been in some situations where there have been some nuggets of truth. And you're like, yeah, you know what? That is true. But here's the flip. And what I'd like to do and what I'd encourage people to do when they find themselves in a situation where they do realize, yeah, okay, there's some truth in this. I'd always ask the person who was, at the center of it and go, you know what? I think there might be something there. So what can you do about it?
Yeah, no, I think that's good.
If you flip it to action, if you flip it to acknowledgement, here's what happens. 9 times out of 10, they go, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, well, now we've just opened up a dialogue. Now we've just opened up conversation. Now I feel like we've shifted away from gossip, and now we're talking conversation that might be about improvement. We'll say, well, what do you mean we can't do anything about it? There's an issue with the process and this person isn't seeing it. Maybe we can sit them down and do X, Y, and Z. Or, you start kind of brainstorming in that. Now, the interesting thing that I've experienced in this, Kraig, and I don't know, maybe if you've done this before or seen this happen, is when you go down that path of we're trying to move toward action, and somebody says we can't do anything about it, but you keep asking that question of, well, what could we do? How could it work? Maybe we could make it better. Well, you'll either find out that these people aren't interested in making it better. They just want to stir the pot. And that's going to become really clear to the other people who are involved. The other part of it is then I found that the more I'd ask that question, the less I'd be brought into the gossip. Yeah. Because they're like, damn it, Mooney's just going to challenge us and try to say, well, we're going to challenge it. We just want to bitch. We just want to crap on someone. We're not here to make it better. So it actually, the gold in the turd is either going to be you find some action, and as a leader or somebody on the team can actually now, deflect this and move it over toward action that'll be positive, or they're going to say, we don't want you in our group anymore because all you want to do is make it better. We just want to gossip.
Yeah.
That was the first one.
Okay. That's the first one. We got a couple of different directions we can go here. You want me to give you my first one, or you want to give your second one?
No, all right, man, jump on it.
So let's do this. Here's my first one, and I mentioned this earlier, and I'm gonna say the same thing. So Mike is saying have some difficult dialogue, have some conversations, have something because you might mine for a little bit of gold within that conversation. Yeah. What I'm going to say is that it all begins and ends with communication. Period. I mean, the bottom line is that there's a Dale Carnegie study that suggests that when it comes to your wealth, when it comes to your financial success, 85% of it comes from communication and relationships and how you interact with people. 15% is based on your education and your schooling. What it tells you is that the way you communicate, the way you build relationships, the way you maintain relationships is your greatest level of growth opportunity. So you need to work on that and worry about that. And communication to me, so let's say that I hear gossip going on, and I have been a part of this where I've heard it going on. And I've had a couple of people on various teams where, they might've been talking about one another or people on other teams. And the minute that I heard that, I thought to myself, all right, how can I pull a meeting together? How can I bring people together? Doesn't mean we have to address it every single time, but we need to give people maybe roles. We need to talk about things. Maybe I'm not being clear enough. Look, I mean, you have to look within yourself if you're leading an organization and there's a little bit of gossip going on. Yeah. Okay. So you got to take some ownership of it yourself. And I think that's important. Well, but you've got to communicate and hit it head on with people.
100%, man. Because as a leader, I'm a big believer that the standard becomes what we accept. And if you're leading that ship and you know what's going on, but you're not addressing it, then it's going to be assumed that that's okay and part of our culture.
Yep.
Exactly. And Doug Ponsler had a good quote in here. He's like, finding yourself in a gossip situation does present opportunity. That is to take the high road and calling it out for what it is. Tough to do, but important to do. And I think that really aligns with your point in communicating.
And it builds your brand. I'm going to go to your second one now. It can build your brand too and how you're looked at. So here you go. Here's your number 2. So
my number 2, following the turds. Come on, man. What kind of a segue was that? It's a morning show, brother. Come on. So, all right, here's the other point here. Don't take the bait is the other point. So this kind of goes back to the promotion part of it, or it could be just something where you're part of a team and maybe you have aspirations to go further and farther. There will be people who can see that about you, because here's the thing. Sometimes people see things in us that we don't see in ourselves, and they will see oftentimes that you're a person of excellence, or you're a person that's going places, but they don't necessarily want you to go there, right? So they're going to try to throw out the bait, bring you in, right? And suddenly you've taken the bait and now you're in the circle. And you have to understand that once you're in the circle and you're gossiping, whether you say it or not, right? There's guilt by association, that if it comes to light, oh yeah, Kraig was there with us and Mike was there with us when we were talking about this. And you have to know that whatever you say, whether it's innocent or not, will be used against you in the court of public opinion. It doesn't matter. What people will twist the things that you're saying in ways that benefit them and the narrative they're trying to shape in the company that may just be against you if you're that target, if you're the person they're trying to pull in or pull down. So please, don't take the bait. Or if you do, go back to that action. If you find yourself in that conversation, say, yeah, you know what? You got something here. What can we do about it? Yeah. Well, if we can't do anything about it, why are we wasting time talking about it?
Yeah, it's very difficult not to get sucked in, not to get pulled in. But if I go back to the communication part, if you're going to take the bait, if you end up in there, it's very tough to bite lip and not say anything or be it. But if you're going to, then you need to be communicative, and you need to be a good listener. So your two.
And understanding too, Kraig, that oftentimes, I know they get commingled, right? But it's either going to be a work-related issue or a personal issue. And I think that's the other part too, of just trying to think through of like, okay, what are we really talking about here? If it's a personal thing about somebody, like you said, we get up on stage and maybe we got some greens from lunch in our teeth, or maybe our fly is down or our shirt is undone, whatever. Okay, I get it. That's going to happen. But I mean, let's just focus on making a difference and understanding. If it's a personal thing that people are jumping on, I step back. Step back.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right. You got your two. Here you go. I'm going to give you my second one now, which is this. And it probably is a little different than don't take the bait. My line is don't dance. Be direct. Now, with that, yes, I'm following up my communication, but I think you made the comment of this earlier. We can do a couple of different things. We can dance around it. We can not talk about it. We can pretend that it's not there, or we can be direct and take it head on. And the sooner that you're able to do that, look, it's very difficult to call people in and go, you know what, am I reading this right? Because then it's almost accusatory. If you're able to say, this is what I've actually heard said, and I can directly tell you that this is true, this isn't true, and start addressing it, that's a better thing. You know, did you have to, in your job, did you have to do reviews for other employees?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I took those as a great opportunity. Yes, I had to write down, are they succeeding? What's your raise going to be? And all of that. Yep. But man, I thought that conversation was good, not just for me to give them advice, counsel, direction, whatever, but to listen and to also give them opportunities. Now, here's the thing that comes from opportunities, in my opinion. When you start giving people opportunities to take a greater role and be a bigger part of something, I think by and large, the gossip starts to end because they are charged with something. Their reputation, their brand is suddenly put out on the table, and they've got to act. And I think that's important. I've always told this story, and I never bring up names on this stuff. And this is not gossiping. I had somebody tell me one time in my role, man, you delegate a lot of things. And what it told me the minute that was said was, there's chatter about me.
Sure.
Okay. There's chatter.
Kraig doesn't do anything. Kraig doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he just delegates it.
Yeah,
that's the underlying.
Yeah. And so I have no problem. I loved the fact that it was said to me, and I know exactly where it was said to me. And I was like, okay, so I know what's happening. People think I might not be doing enough in my role. Okay. Again, I'm going to go back to exactly what I was hired to do. I know exactly what I was hired to do. And I took great pride in giving people on my team responsibility and ownership, or they're going to leave. And so to me, when you have a bigger team and you have 9 people on it as opposed to 4 or 2 or whatever it is, you've got to give them responsibility, especially when they're uber talented. And I didn't hire anybody that I didn't think was uber talented. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to do something, to make a contribution, so that when they walked out, be it after 5 months or 5 years, whatever, 5 decades, they said, I did this. And I'm thankful that Kraig gave me that opportunity to be able to do that. So delegate. Yep. Sure did. Love it. Let's have a dialogue about it. Let's have a conversation about it. Because if you're so tight to everything you've got to do and you're afraid to give it to somebody else and let them succeed or fail,
right?
Wow. Then what kind of leader really are you? I mean, you got to let people fail. My greatest success stories have come when people thought I might fail or when I'm outside my comfort zone. You got to put people in a position to stretch. And when you give them that, I think it eliminates the gossip trail. I think it gives people a reason to feel connected and feel like they're a part of something. That's my belief.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Where I see that also going is the underpinning of it is people understanding the why behind you're doing it, the intent behind it. So if someone were to come up and say, geez, you're delegating a lot, I'm curious why that is. Well, fantastic. Let me tell you why. Because of the opportunities. And more often than not, that will get them understanding. And more importantly, going back to the group and saying, hey, I asked, and this is what I found out.
Yep.
I think it's great. Anne Panone had a great one in here, which she said, this gets back to your, getting people head on. Have you ever had someone say to you, oh, I was just kidding, when you try to get to the heart of the comment with that person? Just kidding is a way out of the conversation. 100%. In fact, and I had a situation with a person, and I was like you, Kraig, and it's tough as a leader because people will come and tell you these things. Oh, so-and-so is doing this. But I always had that rule that unless I'm experiencing it in person, it's tough for me to go to that person because now I'm just playing off a hearsay. Unless you want to get you, me, that person, and the others in a room, I'm happy to do that. And more often than not, they're like, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, then, I have to see for myself and be in that moment. Well, one time I was at a race and a person on our team started stirring the pot. There was a person on the team who we knew wasn't going to be there for this particular race. And yet in front of a group of people said, oh, I wonder where this person is. Oh, look, I'm on Facebook and they're at a baseball game with their kids. And here we are working. And the people who didn't know that we all knew that he wasn't going to be here because he communicated it to everyone and we all knew it. They were like, oh my gosh, really? I thought he was really committed to the team. So I jumped into that moment. I said, actually, we all knew about that. He had emailed the group and told us he wasn't going to be here, and that was that. So I took the person aside later on. I said, why did you do that? So, oh, I was just kidding. To Anne's point.
I was just kidding, or they I never said that or whatever, because they don't want to they're called out on it and they don't want to be involved in the conversation at that point because it's uncomfortable because they don't have control of it. They don't have control of the conversation.
So what I tried to do in that moment was make it teachable by saying, okay, you may have been kidding, but let me tell you the impact. Here's the impact to this person's reputation. The other people didn't know about this, so they're going to walk off and probably take this to 4 or 5 other people and their 4 or 5 other people. And before you know it, by the end of the race weekend, people are going to think this guy isn't committed to the team because you were kidding. You have impact in the words that you say at any level. It's not a game.
No, it's not a game. So appreciate the comments there and any questions that you might have. I'm going to toss this out there. We're going to have some final thoughts coming up and I'll share what's coming up next week. And then I have a thank you as well. We want your thoughts about directions we could go in future conversations, future Thursday mornings. Okay. So feel free to share those. And, you don't have to make the email long. You don't have to give us a ton. Put it right here on the Facebook page and give other people a chance to weigh in on it. To be honest, I'd like to hear Mike and Kraig talk about this, or I'd like to get Mike's thoughts on this. We're all ears on that, and we certainly want to share. So with that, Mike,
yes, sir.
I'm gonna allow you the chance to, maybe something else is on your mind or something you want to do here in just a second. But I do want to share our topic for next time we're together. Okay. And I know we're probably in the minds of many, maybe a little quicker pace today, but I've got something coming up at the top of the hour and I have to be ready for it as well. So I'll be transparent on that. here it is. And I want to say thanks to one of our viewers, Anne, who sent an email in with a lot of great commentary on it. And it's spurred on this topic the next time, which is going to give us a chance to come up with a couple of words that we think are good words. Obviously mine could be elevate, but what's your good word? What's your good word? When you wake up in the morning, what is the word that you could give people that would inspire them, empower them, and help take them to the next level to do something for the better good, the positive, and get yourself going? And maybe you need a kick in the pants, maybe you need something else. So I think that's a great conversation. And what we'll do is, Mike, I'm going to ask you the next time we get together for your one big word and a couple of other words as well. So we'll have three, but one's going to be the big one and then two others. So hopefully you remember that and you don't text me, next Monday. Hey, Kraig, what was the topic next week?
I'm just screenshotting it right now so I know. So behind the scenes,
this is how this works, everybody. On Mondays or Tuesdays, Mike texts me and says, "Hey, buddy, what was the topic coming up this week?" And then I have to go, well, hold on a second. Let me actually look back. And so, truth be told, I don't always remember where we're going.
So I'm helping you too. So I got you. So I'm glad that we can have more than one word, because that's tough for me. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
It's tough to have one word, but I love it. That'll be a good challenge. That'll be a good challenge. And I encourage the folks who are listening and watching to go ahead and think about your word, and next week drop that into the comments and we can talk about that as well.
Exactly.
So my final thought is actually, it's funny. Doug Ponsler jumped in on this again.
You already gave us a word.
No, I think it was a word, but it's actually where I was going with this in my mind, but I want to read it. He said, we too often think about others gossiping, but do we as leaders gossip with our peers? Not an example we should be setting. And that was the thought that I was going to go with, is that we have to set the example. Whether you are at the top of that food chain or you're somewhere there in the middle working your way around, we have to set the example. We have the opportunity every day to set an example related to gossiping or leadership or compassion or empathy or influence or solutions, whatever it might be. We have an opportunity to be an example that might actually catch someone's eye at a moment when they need it most. Right? When they need that example to be set so they don't get pulled into something that could be detrimental. So, Doug, thank you for that. And also, Paul had a great point, too, of take a breath, right? Take a breath and remove the emotion before commenting or getting involved in the gossip. I think it's so true. We often want to jump in. So that's my thought. Just think about ourselves as examples and how we can show up for others.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. What's your parting thought?
Well, that was my parting thought.
Oh, that is it? That
was it. That was it. I was playing.
It was actually tied to our viewers, which is terrific. So fine job out of you.
That's what I do. That's why I look at this stuff. It's not just a guy with hair. So that's where I was going, man. Now I'm going to toss it back to you in the mothership. Go ahead.
All right, here's my thought. So I'm going to tie this into what I've got coming up at the top of the hour. So I'm going to be working with this company. I have a partner in my business, and we do some things for big companies. They're going to be probably maybe 80 people on this call, virtual meeting, 2-hour presentation. And my job in this one, in a couple of weeks, I get to coach them on their presentation skills, these executives, and I coach what I now have trademarked, by the way, Mike. I didn't even tell you that. A brand new you. All right. And it's about brand. It's about building the best of yourself, presenting the best of yourself. That's my presentation. Today, I'm kind of the facilitator. I'm the quarterback, back and forth and engaging, looking at the chat room on the side with all the people that are in there and bringing them to the table. So my final thought to everybody is this. You might have a meeting this week. I guarantee you, whether you do or you don't, you're going to have a conversation this week with some people that you work with, want to work with, etc. What I want you to think about is I want you to put your head in their space. Now, so often in sales, so often when we present, so often when we talk to people, all we want to talk about is our value prop, our menu of offerings. What can I sell? Can I get them there? We forget that the audience is really about them. It's about, you got to go there first. You got to learn what's going on in their mind and then provide what it is you're trying to sell them. You might have to modify it, but if you don't listen first to the points you've made earlier, you're not going to be able to deliver the best possible outcome. And so I want you to think about what do you want to get out of your next meeting? Start there. What will happen when they're gone? What will they say? What will they do? How will they feel? I want you to think about your audience. And if you can put yourself in the position of the opposing counsel, if you will, or the audience first, a lot of that gossip goes away, because you're actually living in their world. And it's really important to take a straw poll of what other people are feeling and how they're working. That's my final thought for the day that I wanted to be able to share with people. Okay.
I love it. Well, that gets back to perspective. It's not just about you. You have to look beyond yourself. I love that. Yep.
I've got a thank you as well that I want to say, but as I do this and I put that up there, I got to show you something, Mike. So to everybody out there, so this is Mike Mooney's book, Reputation Shift. All right. Now in the book, here we go. Did you hear that? That's my pen from all the underlining that I do within the book. All right. I've got like things underlined. I know you probably can't see that. I got things underlined. I got messages on the side, things that I write. I'm telling you, folks, this is a terrific book, and I'm really enjoying it. So there you go. I'm glad to do that.
I appreciate that.
With that, I know I put something up there, but this thing is getting a little humbling, and I'm really grateful. I want to say thank you because I guarantee you, some people out there that are viewing this are listening and have paid attention. If you look at this slide that I put there, this was what I woke up to yesterday morning. Can You Get Our Attention is now number 21 on the bestseller list. And with that, you see the little picture over there, they dropped the price. And I actually reached out to my publisher. I'm like, oh man, they're lowering the price of the book down from $19.95 or whatever the original price was that Amazon put on it, down to $16.76 or whatever. And I said, is that a good thing? She said, that's a great thing. You should be really happy about that because Amazon doesn't owe you anything. They can sell the book for whatever they want. They're using it as a tool, if you will, to sell more books because they're already selling a bunch. And she told me how many were sold last month. So it's great to go from, and it fluctuates by the hour. You know that your book goes up and down. But I just want to say thank you to people who have read the book. Obviously, it's about branding. It's about getting people's attention. It's about presenting the best of yourself using various platforms that I talk about, strategic communication, media relations, media coaching, all of that stuff. But I share my own story, the ups, the downs, and all of that within it and share my story. So I just want to say thanks for those who have bought it. And I appreciate you because you put something out there having read the book as well.
It was great, man. No, honestly, I mean, I devoured it in like a day and a half. And as I said in the video I put out there, I couldn't get your voice out of my head, which wasn't a bad thing, but it was
people.
Well, I had to take some Advil afterward. It was a little, but
Excedrin extra strength.
But it was, they're one of your sponsors too? Okay, here we go. No, but it was great, man. I love the way that you wove in the practical application of why, but also your personal story and getting to know more about you, your favorite number 44. Is that
44,
right?
44.
I mean, just little things like that to see, like you and I have a personal relationship and have had it for a couple of years, but I felt like I got to know you at a different level, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And to those of you who've purchased it, thank you. You can go on Amazon and pick it up. That's cool to me. Or you can go to my website, kannadvisory.com, and I'll actually sign a copy and write something in there and send it. So thank you. Again, the topic next week, what's your good word? Okay. One of them could be attention. One of them could be elevate. Don't know that I'll go with those. One of them could be reputation. One of them could be shift. All right. But I hope everybody puts in a word. But here's the thing. I'm challenging you. If you're going to put a word in on our site, tell us why that word. Don't just put the word there. Tell us why. And you've got a week to do it. I want you to think about it. Don't just rush to go and, hey, I want to put this word out. Take your time. As somebody said there, take a deep breath.
Take a breath.
And figure out the word that you will use. Because I'm going to have to do some thought process. I'm not just going to rush to putting a couple of words on the screen. And when Mike and I put our big one, I'm sure there'll be something behind it. So there you go.
We hope.
Yeah, we hope.
Oh, man.
With that, I just want to say thank you to everybody for spending time with us here on Elevating You. We hope we help you reach our peak, your peak. That's the goal. Brand new conversation each and every week. Mike, man, have a great day today.
Thanks, brother.
And a good weekend this coming weekend. By the way, I saw your video. heck of a workout you must have done this morning. I mean, the locks were all messed up, and people could check that out.
I know, a little behind the scenes there, man. Yeah, it was a heck of a workout. I'm getting back on the wagon, man. I fell off, admittedly, for a while. I've just gotta, get it going, where I get up in the morning, I put on my workout clothes, and then I meditate, and then I go right to my workout. So I'm just trying to get the ball rolling, man. I feel great about it. I just wanted to share that, and yeah, a little
self-care.
That's it, bro.
Self-care.
That's it.
That's
well,
what
listen,
everybody needs.
Thank you, man. You have a great rest of your week. Everyone, cheers. Thank you for being with us today. Crush the rest of this day and tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
You got it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.